Hey everybody, welcome back to It's Okay Habibi. In this episode, Noel and I are talking about our first viral video and dealing with really mean people on the internet. We're talking about celebrating Mother's Day without my mama, Nazi babies and how they become Nazi adults, I guess, and the existential burden that is free will. Wait, yeah, it's hard making decisions. Anyway, that's what we're talking about. Let's get into it. Episode 14.
Ah, damn, I can't even believe it. 14 episodes.
14 episodes, and we have our first viral reel already.
It's just like what, 75,000 views. It was so interesting that this is the one that everyone is interested about. And I know we talked about it offline. I think it's because it was like a little tip knowledge, but it was like a positive thing too. It was like highlighting like an achievement. But I think it was too probably the reaction. Like, oh, I didn't even know. So it was like when we both were like talking about it, it's like maybe because you didn't know, and it was like it's like the whole dynamic of everything. It just was like perfect timing. It was news for a lot of people. I think people were reacting the same way you're reacting to the video too. What do you think?
I think that's exactly right. I mean, I always tell people when it comes to social media, like if it's news to you or if it's interesting to you, it's going to be interesting to someone else, right? And so my reaction was clearly like mind boggled. And so, and as someone who like knows a lot of information about Palestine and is so like pro like lifting up our people, like the comment. But I think that's what it is. It's a shareable snippet that at this time is necessary for a lot of people to feel seen. You know, like
Uh-huh.
the media is always so hard on Palestinians and Arabs in general that we were like, y'all weren't gonna add this to the list of shit that we get credit for, including, you know, algebra, numbers, the Islamic philosophy, teaching the West, you know, like democracy, all these things that I think media has taken away from us. It's very shareable and it's a point of pride.
And I still read a couple of the comments where some people had something to say. That was like it's Indian, whatever, or Japanese, who actually was like, that's just not. I'm just not even gonna even bother because I read the actual book. I know the full story. I'm not gonna even w-
I
bother.
bothered.
Oh, you bothered? Okay.
Bothered because somebody wrote so I actually it was one day, I think it was the day that I was like PMSing and having relationship problems, and I was like, I dare somebody to fucking cross me today. And so they kept crossing me on that whole like, this is Tokyo, this is Japan, Arab are stealing another thing, and I was like, oh no, no, no. So I went and somebody had written, which is really funny. A simple Google search could have helped you. So I did a simple Google search, and within like two links, it shows you the Tokyo designs for the Olympics, which are completely different than the designs that Raji Cook was, you know, signed to do or contracted to do for the Department of Transportation. They're completely different looks, completely different times, completely different things. And for me, that shows that like anyone who looks for that reason or that thing to take away from another point of our pride is obviously like the subtext is racism there. And it's like, yeah, you're right. A simple Google search did help. Now go fuck yourself. And that was my energy that day.
And you know what's funny? I wonder, like, that person who made that comment. This is just me, okay? I'm just imagining like how they came to that comment. They like saw that video. They're like, no freaking way. I'm gonna go check it. It went on Google. Who created the symbol, the first symbols in the world? He probably saw it's Japanese, and he probably was like, "This is not 100% true, but maybe that symbol was created before Raji." So, like, I'm just gonna go back and comment and just make it clear that it was just not the first, whatever it is. But like, you have all that time in the world to just like go and do all of that. Like, I'm not even. We're not running for elections here. I'm literally just sharing information that I just read in a book. That's all. Like the dude had pictures with the freaking president at the time for that achievement is used worldwide. Just move on, accept it. But
It.
yeah.
And you know what? Even if you could take that away from us, which you can't, You cannot take away algebra. You cannot take away astronomy. You cannot take the influence that Sharia law itself has had on the legal system in America. You cannot take away our influence on the world because public transportation may not be true, which it is. Like, just stop. We're amazing. We know it. And we're going to talk about it.
100%. And honestly, this is the best thing that came out of my trip to Egypt to see how much influence that culture had in the world. Even back then, how like the Greek came to steal some of that culture. I didn't even know that Cleopatra is not Egyptian. I was that brainwashed to think that Cleopatra is Egyptian. I don't know if you knew that,
I don't know.
but all right, Cleopatra is not Egyptian. She's freaking Greek. And she was like a colonizer from Greece that came to Egypt. And then after we learned that, like I remember like the tour guide and we're like, we're boycotting Cleopatra. Like she's not that badass person that we thought she was. But yeah, there was a lot of, I mean, obviously it's historical context. There's so many things that happened throughout history, colonization left and right from so many different, yeah, I think that was like something really beautiful when I saw like the Egyptian influence on the world, like the designs, the math, the science, like the it's just like mind blowing. I was familiar with the Levant, like our areas, like anything Lebanon, Palestine, like I knew what we've done, I knew the accomplishments. I just didn't know how much the extent of Egyptian. So that just come to say like that Middle Eastern side of the world, there's a reason why we're like one of the oldest habited locations ever, and that must say something with the, as we go or as we moved on, like the studies, the research, the culture, the language, like it started from somewhere, and it's definitely from areas that has been the oldest. Same thing for Asian. Like Asian has been like, I just saw this video about like China versus US, and they're like, we've been here for 5,000 years. The US have been around for like what, 300 years? Like, dude, you're trying, So yeah, when you have like thousands and thousands of years of history, like you can't just erase that. Like it's always going to dominate regardless. It's fact.
They're gonna try their best though, which I think is like one of the saddest things to watch in these wars is when they are like blowing up really old buildings, libraries that get burned to the ground, and just like so that you can purposely try to erase histories. And this happens all over Africa too, right? Like they'll take your history, they'll take your mother tongue, then they'll give you a new language, English, right? In this case, and then they'll give you a new religion, right? Which a lot of like, for example, the slaves that were brought over were like colonized into believing it's Christianity and whatever. And it's like all of these things to erase who we were. And then we got to spend a lifetime first trying to survive and then go dig and find out algebra came from us. Interesting. When you're like 30 already and now you can take pride in where you come from. But it's beautiful. I'm glad that more of us are talking about things of like points of pride for our people and like banding together. And then also like the things that we talked about, like the black sheep thing, that group or whatever. Like we are also aligning on who has been the outcast and why, and kind of uplifting each other. So
Yeah,
inshallah
yeah.
khair.
Inshallah. Yeah. I watched No Other Land this past weekend. Have you seen it or not yet?
Nah, we're gonna watch it in PAL perspective very soon. But tell me what
Okay.
your thoughts are.
Well, let me know when you guys are watching because I would like to join that session. I just thought it was really interesting. I guess we'll discuss it when you watch it, but it was great. I watched it with a friend who came over on Saturday, and my husband and my mom, and it was I really liked how it was filmed because it wasn't filmed like a documentary, and it wasn't filmed where like let me spoon feed you the conclusion or what you should think it is. They literally were just filming what's happening. You're in it on the ground as things are happening, and then you're like, make of it what you want to make of it. And if you have common sense, there's only one conclusion to come out of it. Yeah, I don't want to spoil, I guess, the parts of it, but it was amazing. It was really, really good. Yeah, we'll talk more.
Okay.
maybe
Yeah, no, I
after
definitely watch it.
perspective.
Yeah, we're supposed to watch it in the next couple of weeks. We were gonna watch The Settlers, which is like kind of going viral right now on the internet for basically exposing the settlers, aka thieves, for their racism. And to me, the clips that I've seen are akin to like the videos of white supremacists or racists when segregation was happening and they were like, we don't want the blacks in here, like we're better than them, they're gonna ruin our neighborhood, like we deserve this land, they don't deserve shit, blah blah blah, like just blatantly, because it was accepted by society at that time to just, say what you want to say, you kind of is accepted now too, right? I mean, Elon Nazi saluted right in front of everybody. But anyway, so the settlers show you who they are, and it's like we can't really keep saying that the Arabs are the racists here when. So I'm excited for that one, but it wasn't streaming in the US. So we're gonna prioritize No Other Land in the next week or two. So I'll share it with you.
Sounds good. We got a couple negative comments. We got a couple positive comments on our videos. So I guess one of the things for the listeners to know is that the first negative comment that we ever got, I read it. It was on YouTube, and I deleted it because it was something about Amal that bothered me, and I was being like super protective. And then I'm almost like, no, like let's keep him. We're just like laugh about it or whatever. And then like something like clicked in my brain since then, and like we got a couple other comments that were negative. Um, I mean, we got a lot of positive ones. We see them on like the shorts, the videos, and whatnot. But it's just the negative was usually that like you think about or whatever. You just our brain are like wired to think about it. But they were hilarious. So I laughed about it. I think I took your advice and like as I was reading it, I was like, yeah, that's actually really funny. Um, so yeah, more
I think I
engagement.
learned. Exactly. I learned early on, like, it's engagement. Like, cool. Like, you gonna hate, love me or hate me. You are building my page up for me. So thanks. And then also some of these accounts, like in regard to my account, are like just bots, like paid for by the occupation. So I'm not really gonna like give my mental health to a bot account. And then like you noticed the one that like I was calling Islam like beautiful work of art, or like the Quran a beautiful work of art, and that person commented like it is not art, it's the word of Allah. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like just shut up. Like I can't even compliment my religion without you saying something. And I was gonna go like, look up the semantics behind art and how, all of these different things in the Quran that actually make it like art, feel like art. And then I was like, I have a lot of other shit to do. Like, why
Yeah.
am I going to give this person my time? So I was just like, thanks for contributing absolutely nothing to this conversation. You know, you should kind of just get over it quickly. There are
I
some things though, that
died.
what
I
when you read what
died
I
when
wrote.
when I read your response. Like I literally I choked on my I was like eating lunch or something. I was like, this was hilarious. Actually, I was talking about this with my husband, and he said negative comments is still better than like no comments because at least you guys are making people feel something rather than being them triggered about something internally to feel the need to comment or positive, whatever it is. But it's that's the whole point, right? You're getting someone to feel something, and I will take that 100 times over just all positive and lovey and or just neutral, like nothing.
100%.
So,
And
yeah,
to add to that, my first response to that Tokyo bullshit, like, oh yeah, it was the Tokyo Games, that it wasn't Raji Cook. My first response, I tagged you and I was like, hey, something for us to look into, right? Because we're not geniuses. We know that. We know we have room to fucking learn. But then when, it got to be like attacks, I was like, all right, we're going to prioritize this search and we're going to learn today. And so that's the second thing. Like, yeah, all right, educate us where we're wrong. Show us, give us more information. But all that negativity, you're not gonna pierce this. We've done so much
nope,
work on this.
exactly, exactly. No, I'm just happy that the way things are progressing, this is really new to me. So you have been there, done that. Like you've had years of experience in that. But I think I'm catching up quick where like it's not bothering me. So far, like all the feedback that we've been getting has been positive or just good. So that's good so far. I guess we'll just keep going.
Mhm. I remember the first time I deleted a comment, it was so funny. Somebody on my page, like I had, been speaking up for Palestine, and then somebody comment, which my eyebrows are looking like that right now. And they said something like, "Oh, it looks like the janitor's broom, like that big ass broom that." And they were like, "Why do your eyebrows look like that?" And I deleted it right away. And then after, I was like, "That's actually funny as hell." Like I definitely could have commented back and like had some banter there. Like I didn't need to. Okay, like I'm not perfect. It's a cool, humbling experience. Also, I
Yep,
think.
yep, yep. That's like that guy saying say like one more time, like. So he's not wrong. So I just commented back and I said like. Yeah, it is
Yeah, I
what
was
it is. You
proud of
just
you
have
for
to
that
laugh
one.
about it and just move on, and we're all good. Mother's Day. That was what, yesterday, right?
Yes. How was it?
So I know we talked a little bit, but I want to know more. Yesterday I called you because I was like, oh, thank you for wishing, Happy Mother's Day for me and my husband's mom. Um, but then I just was thinking like, hey, you lost your mom, so how do you relate to that holiday? Because a lot of people usually are sensitive or sad or maybe indifferent. How's that for you usually?
What's funny is that we talked about this, and I still don't really have like a succinct answer. I think it's a few things. One is that my mommy, Allah yarhamha, passed away in 2013. So it's not like you get over losing a mom, but you get used to the holidays without that person. It doesn't become a new wound. It's just an old wound that you feel, is one thing. The second like reflection that I had is like the love for the mothers that I have around, like my sisters, your mom, your husband's mom, like it just kind of the love that I would have given that way goes out. And I'm like, oh, happy Mother's Day. A lot of my friends now have babies. And so the focus isn't on me now and my pain. It's more on everyone I love, which is a transformational way to deal with that pain. And then the third thing is, I think grief, as you know, right? You've had loss, is like a daily thing. And so I may not cry about my mom on Sunday because, capitalism required it. I may cry tomorrow or the day after. So I don't know when I'm going to be filled with grief about my mom, but I'm so used to Mother's Day being a thing that I instinctively like stay off social media, or I'll like I won't go around things that might trigger it, but I'm used to it. And then the final reflection I had, I've been sharing reflections with ChatGPT so it could like save them for me. And it was that like I think when grieving a mom specifically, you're not just grieving the person, you're grieving what a mother's love is supposed to do for you.
Mm,
They're supposed to be that person that gives you unconditional love that you go to when you're scared. Like I sat on my mom's lap until I was 20 freaking 3. And thinking about that will make me cry more than like, oh, it's Mother's Day and my mom is gone. It's the love that I want. It's her like acceptance that I want. And
mm,
so I thought about like how many people check on me and call me on Mother's Day and birthdays and all other days, and especially in February, like the anniversary when she died. People are constantly giving me love around that subject or just giving me love in general, right? Like kind comments or random calls to say I'm thinking about you or whatever. And I think all of that has been like I used to say it's like, "Oh, my mom is, like, cosmically connected to me and sending people to love me." And maybe that's me holding on, but maybe it's just that I'm finding kind hearts and kind hearts give. And it feels like a mother's love has never really left me because I'm always looking for it. So, it's a very complicated answer, but that's grief.
do you feel like you have anything that is like hung up, or do you have like closure with your mom on everything?
I once with my therapist around grief, she was like, what do you miss about your mom or what do you think about when you think about your mom?" And I remember writing the answers to the prompt, and the thing that broke me down the most is not like missing her, but thinking about the moments that we didn't get to have and that I'll never get to have. You know, like her being at my wedding or like certain accomplishments or seeing like my nieces and nephews being born and maybe me having a baby one day. Like the things that she's not gonna be there for are always gonna hurt. Like the first Mother's Day without her. And then the things I didn't do for her, like the nice things, you know, she battled depression really badly and she was alone a lot. And so my regret is so much in the love I didn't give to somebody who very clearly needed it. And so
Mm,
it's always around those two things, the love I didn't give and the love I'm not going to get on certain days. But everything else, I think like through religion and friendships and like the love that I told you that I keep getting, like all that feels okay. Like I feel okay without her. I just feel horrible about the things I can't control.
mm.
And so I practice forgiveness for those things all the time.
Wow. Thanks for sharing. This is a lot.
No, yeah, no, thanks. I think about this shit all the time, and you know, I'm an artist, so I'm always like sitting and writing about these reflections. So it's not hard for me to be like, and now here's the deepest parts of my thoughts, and then like go right back into like, so you know, I was fighting with my man. Like it's not hard to flip flop, and I think that's the other thing when you're experienced. And you know, the other thing I was thinking about. I think I'm kind of going on the stream of consciousness here, so pull me away whenever you want. But I was thinking about how when you lose parents at a younger age, you advance in maturity much quicker, I think,
Mm,
because you're already, it was like I was watching Black Widow, for example. Spoiler alert, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Black Widow, Marvel, and they, you know, the widows were being mind controlled by the person, the bad guy. And so they couldn't make, they had no free will, was the point. And then the good guys created an antidote and like gave them their brains back. And they were like, what do we do now? And then ScarJo was like, you do whatever you want. You have free will. Because they didn't have someone telling them what they do to do. And I feel like that's what parents kind of are. When you're 23, early 20s, even into your 30s, whatever, like you still go to your parents as guidance of like, where are we moving? How are we moving? What am I allowed to do? What makes me feel shame? What doesn't make me feel shame? And that was gone for me at a really young age, and I was like, "Oh, this is up to me now? What the like?"
mm.
And I think that's one of those like I don't want to say blessing in disguise, but there's good with every lesson, and I got to learn early on to like, what the fuck do I want, and not have to worry about what they're gonna kill me for.
I could only imagine what kind of daughter you were to your mom because you're very like rebellious by nature, where probably you were like, do you have any memories of that? Like things that she would say, like funny or whatnot, that you were just like, nah, like you guys would just argue about?
To be honest, I was her baby, so like that's a good question for when my sister joins us one day. Like Dean will go in on like Emma was the baby, Emma was spoiled, I was the one who suffered, and she's not wrong. I was definitely very, very spoiled by my mom, not in material things because we didn't have that, but like love and like Della, you know, like she just babied me a lot. I'm telling you, like 2 weeks before she died, I went to the bank with her to like do some stuff. And like we were sitting there in front of the bank teller and she was like, "This is my baby." And I remember being so
Aw.
embarrassed. Like, why are you introducing me as your baby? And now that's one of those moments that I think about and then I'll just like break down immediately because it's like, why did I push away? But yeah, I was that was the dynamic. It's like I'm not your baby, leave me alone, you know, into my freaking 20s. So in a way, thank God
Mm.
I had to grow up. But Haneen will have a lot of funny stories. The worst rebellious thing I think I did, I'm also gonna blame my sister for this, is like, you know, back when we had like landlines, we'd want to both go out at the same time. But my mom was like, you know, out of daughters, like you have to go together if you're gonna go. So we would leave together and then we'd split up. And then my mom, and then like Henny would call me and she'd be like, all right, are you ready? We're gonna call mom to check in. And then we'd call my mom three-way. And then Henny would talk and she'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go get Ahmed. And then she'd wait 3 seconds and I'd be like, "Hi, mom. Okay," and act like we're together. So, God forgive me.
My God, this is elaborate. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, that was when three-way was a mandatory, necessary thing. So I hope she forgives me for that. But those that's probably like the worst shit I did is like lie to get out.
I have a very different experience because I mean, obviously, my mom still lives with us. She's still alive. I love her to death. But we're so, so, so close. Thank you. We're very close, but we're the most to argue. Like, we just argue about everything. And the thing that I always remembered growing up, she would say is that Noel cannot just shut up. And I would always, like, I would not take yes for an answer to anything. Like I always was asking why for everything, and she hated that. She just like because I told you so, and like the told you so was never an answer for me. It's really interesting because like now I talk to a therapist, and that's how what like this is really my superpower now because I'm so curious about everyone. I want to know everything about you. Like I want to understand like why people do this, the thing they do, or act the way they act or whatnot. And that's the thing that bothered her the most. Like she just wanted to kill me everywhere we would go, especially like during Eids, if we're like going to visit someone, and then she would like pre-warned us before we go. If they offer something, you say no, you don't want it, even if it's chocolate or whatever. And she would just give me this look, like they would be coming as like, oh, تفضل طنطي, want salmon? And then I would just like look at her, and then like I remember like her nose, like her nostrils would just open up. She would just like she would just do this, and I'm like. No, I'm good. And then like and then I started asking questions. I was like, so what's in it? Like what kind of chocolate? And then like I just like it's just so like because she was just like be bothered by it and then she's just like, I told you to ask questions. But yeah, this is kind of like my relationship with her and I didn't have as much of a close relationship with my dad, so that's why for me Mother's Day is so important. When I asked you that question, it was more coming from me because I cannot even fathom the day that I would lose her. I don't even know where to start wrapping my head with that. I think one of the things that I realized like recently is that I really want to like have as many memories with her as possible. So like that's why we're like traveling a lot together. Like we just went to Egypt and like everywhere we want to go, like let's just go. Last year we went to Mexico together. So I'm trying to have as many memories as possible. But yeah, sometimes it gets too much where I'm like I just need a break. Like I'm just done here. So it just depends on the day, I guess.
No, and I think that's 100% normal. And like you're doing a thing that a lot of people like don't think about doing until it's too late, right? So I think that 100% I've seen you with your mom. I love your mommy. Your mommy's my mommy at this point, and like that's a blessing. And even like you're never gonna not regret stuff. Like my older sister, I feel like she treated my mom like a queen. She did take her to travel. She bought her everything she needed. Like she really like had patience for that woman that nobody had. And like still now she's like she'll think about the one thing she said no to my mom about or the
Uh,
one thing she didn't do, and she still is haunted by those things. So like at the end of the day, like I do think like you're going to be haunted regardless. Grief is hard regardless, but you're going to be a best case scenario person where you like, I know your relationship with your mom, like you do take care of her in very specific ways. And you are like, you have this open relationship where you talk to each other, you laugh together, you spend time together, you travel together. So, like, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. And Allah Khadiha, I hope like she lives to be, as old as she wants to live to be. Now I know with your family, like, I'm not gonna be like forever because she may wanna also go at 82 or some shit. But yeah, no, I think that's beautiful.
yeah, I hope so too. No, I love her. I think we have a great relationship. I am like extremely proud of her, honestly. Like my mom, like like she grew up, she was like in an arranged marriage. She didn't finish her education and she moved here at age like what, 60. So for someone who like only spoke Arabic, a little French, and like only knows English from like reading subtitles while watching something on a movie or whatnot. Like she learned how to drive. She's working now, taking orders, like learning the systems, like doing everything, getting a job. It's just mind blowing. Like, how do you even start to do that at age 60 and you've never worked a day in your life? I mean, this is extremely impressive.
Don't I think it makes sense for the type of parents that like think about how the world she grew up in, right? Like she grew up in the Civil War. Like she grew up in way worse times where she's like, get a job, got you. Like, no problem. Like, I'm super impressed that she's able to do it navigating language. Like usually our parents had to like navigate that shit in their 20s. And it's like, how did they
Uh-huh.
do this? Like for her to re-navigate at this age, yeah, is nothing short of amazing.
Like patience. She's 60 and like have to take, kind of tasks or orders from like a manager, and some of them are younger than her. I'm like, I don't even have patience for people that are now my age. I was like, I can't imagine when I'm 16 someone telling me to do something. I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing that. So I don't know, it's just impressive all around. And her language, her English, like, she's using like the biggest word. Like right now I don't even have to you know dumb down my English, I guess. I just speak, and like she's just catching up on everything, and like it's just incredible. It's just incredible. I took her
Mashallah. Yeah, that's
skydiving.
good.
My mom has been skydiving. Like she's been living a full-on life. You don't know that.
When did you
Yeah, my
guys go
mom.
skydiving?
That was like when I used to skydive. That was like five
Oh
or six years
my
ago.
God.
Yes, yes.
She's literally the coolest.
When we were in Lebanon, she went ziplining. Like her mom, like my grandma, like they were like, "You're doing what?" And then like actually that was really interesting. Like Tita would like was like, "Let's just go see her." I'm like, "Okay," like because this is new. Because like I remember my grandma when my mom went skydiving, my grandma was a little upset about it because like obviously it's scary, and like as a mom you should be upset of your son to put their life in risk or whatever. But with ziplining this time in Lebanon, I don't know. I think she's just like setting an example that was never broken in our family or our culture. Come here.
Dobby.
Yeah. It's just being, come here. Here's Dobby. Here's Dobby. Say
My life
hi.
dream is for Dobby to
He
like love
say
me.
hi.
Well, I love you. You're so cute. I love
Yeah, he's
watching your mom with Dobby the most. Like that's my favorite thing to watch is like her
yeah.
squeeze his ears.
And that's interesting because like my mom, a typical Middle Eastern mom that never grew up with dogs, and she came here when like she moved here, and then she's just like, I don't know, and then like immediately fell in love with him, treating him like a baby. He's like her little baby. He just doesn't grow up. He's always a baby in her mind.
He
And
is
then
a big.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he is a baby. But yeah, she's it's interesting how like people change, and like even I remember when she first moved here, like, she got used to him and like loves Dobby. And then with time, she was like kind of judging like dogs that are bigger size. She's like, yeah, I like the size of dog because it reminds me of him. Like, I don't know about those big ones, like they scare me. And like now she just like, no, they all look like Dobby. Like now she looks at any animal and then like she just sees like the innocent. Like anywhere we go, like there's a zoo, we go to anywhere where there's like animals or anything, like an elephant or whatever it is. Yeah, I just thought that was really interesting too. That
It is.
our
I'm the
Middle
same way.
Eastern moms are not exposed to it, but then once they get exposed to it, it's just they just love it.
Yeah, and that passed on like even to my sister. Like I had a dog for a little while and my sister like she was like, "Yeah, I'm good on that. I'm a cat person," and we're like the same age basically. After spending a little bit of time with my dog, she was like, "You're kind of cute." It's like the exposure. And she's like, "Oh, okay, you know what? I'm gonna like make sure you feed her." And then they start to do the nurturing thing. It's just the exposure.
Yep. So yeah, that's Mother's Day for everyone. I did actually want to bring something interesting with you that I read today, which you actually brought up slightly when you were talking about like upbringing and how we're raised and whatnot. So something that I saw today, I just want to read it because I took screenshots of it. They're talking about like there was a study that was done in Germany about how were kids raised to be Nazis at that time. And they were looking at the psychology behind it, and it's mostly coming from parenting. And the important things that they found out is the kind of parenting that led to this personality was strict, authoritarian parenting, where obedience is valued over independent thoughts, fear-based discipline and rigid hierarchies. And they were talking about, that kind of upbringing had profound effect. Children raised this way never learn how to handle independence. You're distracted with Dobby because he's just being
No, no, I'm listening. Go ahead. Yes, he's so cute.
Yes, and then they were taught to obey, not think, to follow rules, not make choices. And when they grew up, freedom felt overwhelming, risky, even dangerous. And so they fled from it. Instead of embracing freedom, they sought refuge in strong leaders, rigid rules, and simple answers. This is what from cold, which is the fear of freedom, a deep psychological need to submit to escape the burden of choice by surrendering to an authority. I thought that was really interesting because a lot of time you see it with rigid parenting. A lot of time you see it in like rigid parenting. You wonder like how does someone not appreciate freedom? Like when we are talking about anything online and you're like you don't want freedom to anyone, you don't want freedom to women, you don't want freedom to gays, you don't want and it's not that they don't want freedom. I wonder about their upbringing and if the word freedom triggers something in them that they don't even know how to function in freedom. So for them, it's easier to just obey and tell the woman to obey, tell the gay person to obey, tell whoever is trying to just go out of what they were taught to be the norms. I don't want to think for myself. Like, these are the rules. I just follow the rules. That's it. And freedom sounds very unsettling for them because they just don't know what to do. Like they just know how to follow orders. That's how they were conditioned. So now that you're telling them you can just go do whatever you want, they're like, no, I just want to go back to follow orders. That reminds me a lot too in Harry Potter. I don't know if you've read the books, but so in Harry Potter, there's the little elves. One of them is Dobby. They were kind of like slaved, and they had more power than the actual wizards in the book. The actual wizards like Harry Potter and all of those, they can't do like most of them they can't do magic without using their wand and they have to learn how to do magic. The elves, like they are in the book, they actually were just born in it and they can just like the magic just comes out of them and they were the slaves of the wizards. They are born being house elves, they work and serve those people. And I think it was like book four when Dobby was freed and he went to help other people. You have another elf that was freed in the book. Her name is Winky, I think. And Winky, for the rest of the series, she was like struggling, like heartbroken because she's just like, no, 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 no. My purpose is to just go and serve them. Like, what do I do with my life? And Dobby's like, you can do whatever you want. Like, I'm getting paid now to just cook and do. You can still do that. You're at least not getting paid. You can go buy socks. You can buy clothes. You can do. She could not fathom a word beyond serving because that's all she knew what to do. I talked a lot.
No, I think that's valid. I think this wraps kind of back into the free will conversation from earlier. My first thought when you mentioned the Nazi upbringing is, oh my God, that sounds like my upbringing. Because we do have authoritative parents.
Huh?
Don't ask what's in the chocolate, right? Like one look and you know this is how you're supposed to behave, right? So I think that that's very common, but something that I did read about like the the Nazi upbringing or the German upbringing to train Nazis is like the whole let your child self-soothe method where they internally learn that they're not like empathy is not something you're gonna get, so, kind of buck up attitude from baby age where they're just not going to get a mother's love. And that was one of the things that like I think I always got love, right? So I would love to look more into that as a part one response to you because that was our upbringing in a way. Like, can you name the things that you listed that were not a part of our upbringing?
I do want to add to that what they were saying, I didn't have screenshots of the rest of it. They were given an example. Some of the people who actually stood up against the Nazis, that German, they were raised the same way. It's just by nature, even though they were getting trained like that, they were more like me and you, where like, even though I was told just shut up and do it, my mom, we were just talking about it. My mom was like, because I said so. And you have kids like us who were just like, that said so doesn't work. Like, no, I need to understand why. Those were the
Oh, brother,
people.
I have to correct you. My parents
Okay.
had to die and literally over their dead body. Then I was like, oh, I have free will. Like literally my mom died and then I was like, oh, I'll go be an actor. I'll go be on television. Like I'll go do these things.
Wow.
She
Yeah.
had to die. Before that, I was in the matrix, fully on par to be like work in education or corporate America. And then I just wanted to correct that. Like
Okay,
it
okay.
wasn't because,
I didn't know that. I mean, I only know you for like since I met you, but I've seen your last 10 years and it's all phenomenal. But now thinking of it, I guess it was all since, she passed. Okay. Okay, we have different experiences. Mine was always a rebel. Like I was the opposite of what I'm told to do. And a big part of it, like we talked about that offline at a younger age, once I started to understand my sexuality, I accepted that I have to lose everyone. I'm gonna lose them. I had a choice. I could have just like shut up and just like acted like what a lot of gays just stay in the closet and like live like that. I know people still Lebanese now that they still act like that, where like they go visit their families in Lebanon, they don't even know that they have a partner. They've been partners for 20 years. They live in like US or Canada or whatever. I did not want that life. I just wanted this is my life, take it or leave it. So I think at a younger age I accepted that I just needed to like cut it short and like if you're in my life, you're fully in my life. If you're not, you're not. But back to the Nazis conversation, that's one of the interesting thing that they mentioned is the people who were going against them and they died, like they killed them. Like one of the girls that they gave as an example, I think she was like 21 years old, but that they like killed her and like in the middle of the street just to be a lesson for everyone because she stood up. She was like, "This makes no sense. I'm not okay with any of that." But they did say we're the people who were like more like thinkers and like challenging the status quo rather than just like follow orders. Sorry,
I think that like no
we're
no
talking
and
about
throughout history it's exactly what you said, like the philosophers, the thinkers, like the educators, artists are the ones they drag out into the street and murder because those are the types of people that are going to absolutely challenge a reality that doesn't make sense. They're absolutely going to fight the status quo if it doesn't feel right, especially philosophers, right? Especially artists. So throughout history, people like that would get killed as an example, and we're seeing it now, right? We're seeing like Kehlani, for example, like all over New York, they've been canceling her concerts for saying she's anti-genocide. So like, it's literally just everything playing out again. We've seen the educators get fired. We've seen what the universities are doing. Like Kehlani's not the example. She's just one of many examples.
So do we think that I'm just trying to understand this better. People are just scared of freedom because they just don't know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, to that point, I think that was the other revelation that I had, and I'm so glad you brought this back up. Is remember when I said like I realized like, oh shit, I have free will. Like at like 23, I was like, oh my god, what the fuck do I do with this now? One of my biggest breakdowns in therapy, like where I remember she looked at me when I was done crying and like really like blubbering like Viola Davis style, and she was like, "You've been holding that one in, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I think I brought this up for you when we were talking about my ADHD. It was decision making. I hate making decisions. I hate it. And every day is filled with a million decisions, and nobody's telling me what to do. So at some point, especially as an artist, entrepreneur, like trailblazer in what I'm doing, I don't have anyone to tell me that I'm doing the right thing or that it's okay except for me, and I haven't fully walked into giving myself permission all the time. That's a huge thing, especially I think for women, but it's a huge thing for artists and entrepreneurs is like give yourself the permission to put it out. You don't need someone else to tell you it's good. You don't need someone else to tell you that it's perfection. It doesn't even need to be perfect. It just needs to exist and then you could work on it, right? So I think freedom, it was terrifying and is still terrifying till this day. And the only thing that makes it less terrifying is A, the support of the community around you, actually like knowing that if you fail, they'll still love you. And then also giving yourself permission to know that you might not make the right choices. And that's part of freedom is you're going to make mistakes and you're going to fail forward. But yeah, 100% that free will till this day was fucking terrifying.
Do you think the terrifying part of the free will, you saying this is right after your mom died, now that you have a free will, like before you were getting all of that from her, like give me the assurance, approve me, all of that?
It's the guide of how you're supposed to live, right? So like when she's alive, I know I'm going to follow like the Arab culture tenets that I grew up with, right? In that town, in that specific state, by that specific person. So I had a guideline back to the Nazi book. I had a guideline of like what I was allowed to do, what I wasn't allowed to do. And then anything that I wanted to do that didn't fit in with what I wasn't allowed to do growing up had to be done on my own time, in my own life, in either secret or just away from the lens of the watchers, right? Like, I
Mm,
don't want to disappoint my mom. I don't want to shame the family, that whole concept. Once I was kind of on my own, I still cared about shaming the family and still till this day, right? Because I do have older siblings that have like very like respectable careers and respectable names. And so I just make sure that like anything I'm saying and doing is just on me, but I care way less about shame when I don't have to worry about my mother, you know, alive and being ashamed. I don't know if she's ashamed in heaven or, in purgatory, wherever the body actually is or the soul actually is. I don't know how she feels and I'll figure it out, on judgment day, but it's less scary when she's not
yeah.
here. But yeah, I think it
I
was that.
think what you're saying makes a lot of sense because I just video like a month ago. There's a page that I follow of this guy who studies masculinity, especially for men. Like he has a PhD. That's like his whole study is on that. And his recent research that well, it wasn't his research, but he was talking about it, part of the research. He was showing like a chart and saying that the numbers has shown, if you look at the chart, the more, so there's men who follows the typical masculine men looking and acting and what to do in society, like you're expected to do, who follows that, and men who breaks out of it. So like could be more feminine or could still be masculine, but maybe do jobs that are not considered masculine or just breaks out of the typical social setup. And then if you're looking at that chart, and then the chart was showing the more men that are following the typical expected social norm of what masculinity looks like, the more they felt that they had a purpose in life and the more men who were breaking out of the expected masculinity norms that the society say norms, it's not really norms, but like what is expected of masculinity to look like, the more they felt they had less of a purpose in life. However, happiness had an effect on that as well. So you see people transitioning out of this is what a typical masculine man should be like. They lose that purpose, but it feels so scary because, like, what do I do now? Similar to what you were saying, I could see that same thing for femininity as well. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. But then when you break out of it, you lose that person. So you lose that safety.
You lose
But
the
we're talking
blueprint.
about that. Yes, but they're talking about their research is eventually when you found your new purpose and the true purpose, the chart shifts to now, even though you're not following what is expected of what you should be doing, there's more fulfillment in that areas rather than over there. Yes, there is a purpose. You're grinding, you're doing what is expected, but on the inside, I don't know if it's fulfilling or it feels like a happy life or the life that you want. So I just thought that was interesting because I didn't read about it for the feminine side, but I could imagine that it's probably the same for you too.
Well, what do you think about the masculine side? Like, what were your thoughts when you read that?
I went through like a whole, like we were just going conversation with people in the comments, and I was like arguing about it. I thought it was interesting. There was a mom that I kind of argued about. It was a really interesting conversation because she said like she was like teaching her sons to be masculine, but then she made a comment about I want him to be. I don't care if like too masculine, like she's okay if they're like gays or like sexuality or whatnot, but like she would still like him to like follow the typical masculinity. I was like, that seems like a little projecting because like she still wants him to treat the women the way she want to be treated, and I get that, but like I feel like she was talking about I like him to be masculine. I was like, you mean manner, like what is masculinity? Are you talking mannerism, or are you talking being courageous, being generous? Because you can be feminine men and still be courageous. And so there was this whole conversation about, well, what is masculinity? Is it just looks and mannerism, or is it like acts and how they feel or how they show up in life? My observation on this study was personally what I did have more of a purpose when I was following that before even coming out. And once I started to realize like my sexuality, I knew that I had no choice but to break out of it because I automatically don't fit that basket anymore in some way. Like I could still be acting masculine, but I don't fit the masculine purpose of like you need to marry a woman, have kids, and do that. Because like automatically I'm marrying maybe not a woman, and then that doesn't fit that. So I was kind of forced out of it. And to be honest, yes, I agree. Back then, I had more of a purpose. I wasn't as like confused in a way or just like not sure like what do I need to do. I was just corporate. You just do this. You show up to work, and I was climbing the ladder. I had a goal. I'm going to become a CFO at a company one day, and that all felt really good at that time. But the moment I broke out of it, I went through the phase where like I'm not sure what I need to do, and you've been through that phase with me recently, especially as like I'm moving out of it. And once it clicked in my head, like I know what I need to do, everything shifted. Like now I have a purpose, and that purpose is more fulfilling. And honestly, it's so hard to go back to that old grind. Like, we talk about it now. I can't even, I go to meetings, like I can't even think and act the same like other people are doing and acting. It's just, I can't be molded back to it. I can't unsee what I've seen. So,
Yes, I think what
yeah.
you said. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that applies for you too, like with femininity?
Yeah, I think it's a human experience. I think what you said spans so much of the human experience. Everything we're basically talking free will. Like, and that conversation is like the subject of all major hero journeys when you take your life into your own hands and question the status quo and make the decision that is the scary one, like run towards the danger. Like they say, I saw a video the other day that was like self-sabotage is simply like your reaction to self-sabotage is simply your reaction to your body fighting its survival mode. So like once you're entering a new phase of life where you have challenged your comfort zone, your body's going to try to not get you to do that. The alarms are going to go off because it's not something you're used to. And then you'll start like turning down opportunities. You'll start finding reasons not to like stay in the uncomfortable zone where you'll grow. And you have to rewire your brain in those moments because you have to tell your body, it's okay. We're going to survive this. We're just growing. And that
Mm,
waking up, right, that you're talking about, like waking up and realizing, like, I don't feel fulfilled. I don't want to do this. What the fuck am I doing? That waking up is uncomfortable. And now you got to get to the other side of that or get through that. And it's going to take a lot of growing pains. It's going to take a lot of education. It's
mm,
going to take a lot of support. It's going to take a lot of mistakes. And you're going to have to back your body up as your nervous system is adjusting to this new
yeah,
reality.
yeah, yeah.
And it's going to keep
I
happening,
mean,
right? You're going to keep evolving. So epiphanies are going to keep happening. Life stages are going to keep changing.
so flowing from that to ADHD, because that's probably related somehow. What's the update? Because if you were back in the grind, you probably were not even considering ADHD, but now you have all the time in the world of the freedom, and you're like, why am I doing the thing that I'm doing? Versus like, I'm just not qualified to get this done. So what's the update?
Actually, you know what's funny is like, so the update is, I think I said this last week, like if they said I do have ADHD, and then I started questioning the test itself, and I was like, well, how many people pass this test? You know, like, is it rigged, but by Big Pharma or something? I have not at all started any kind of medication for it. But what I'm finding interesting is that the last couple of days, like work days, I've actually been able to do a lot of work and get through my day and be more decisive because these other areas in life started to be like A, less stressful, and B, I started to kind of back myself up more in that giving myself permission to fail and giving myself permission to succeed. It has made a lot of those decision points throughout the day that are many throughout the day for my job, it has made them easier because I'm like, well, fuck it. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. And I'm the shit. I know I'm good. I have earned my place here. And it has taken care of a lot of those symptoms. So now I'm in a place where I'm like, maybe I have it, but maybe I don't really need to be medicated. And so that's where we're at with it. Every day is like, what is going on in here? And what's the best way to take care of.
Are you scared to try medication?
I'm not. Like I've tried the Adderall before, and I'm like from morning to night, like super productive, super decisive, motivated, like just everything is good. But if I'm seeing that I don't need anything in my system to do the same thing, um, I have to monitor like, well, is this sustainable? Can I do this every day on my own? Or did I just happen to like rev the engine up really well today because yesterday I didn't have coffee and today I did? And the impact
Uh,
of, so there's still a stimulant in my body. There's still an outside thing impacting the way I move. And so I think it's just kind of like the scientific method, right? I'm going to introduce a variable. I'm going to observe what happens. I'm going to make decisions based on how each day goes
mm,
and how my body reacts.
I mean, that's what I hear is the right approach is that one, see if like there's other elements that can be controlled in your life, through therapy or whatnot. And then as long, I mean, it's there, it's always an option. And then as long as it's not getting you to a place where like it's really stopping your life, that's what I hear, like even with anxiety or depression medication or whatever, it's like as long as it's not debilitating where like you can't wake up and go to work, then you're still okay, right? Like it's still a choice. So
Yeah, I don't want it to get to the point that it's debilitating. Like sometimes it is debilitating. And I remember like a year ago, I couldn't make again a simple decision and it was shutting me down. Like I was like crying over decision making, just like maybe I was just like big baby. I'm super sensitive. And I had two different friends say, like, if you're at the point where making a simple decision renders you like motionless, then your body is telling you you need to rest. Like your body is
uh,
telling you you're burned out. Go sit down. Don't do anything if you cannot make a simple decision. And I think it's also these other factors at play, right? We're constantly handling so much shit. For example, present day, your people are being annihilated in 4K. You are managing like gender norms, aging, marriage, relationships, society, work shit while trying to manage your dreams. So plan A and plan B. It's a lot of shit constantly on the plate. So I don't know that I should just medicate myself to push through all that, or do I need more rest days? Like, do we just need to advocate for more PTO? So if you get to a point that you cannot make a simple decision where it's debilitating, then that's a cue that your body needs rest. Like you need to go sit down somewhere and stop trying. Right. So I think like I don't want to add medication or over medication to a situation that it might be a societal problem, a systemic issue where like maybe we need more PTO, maybe we need more community support. Like there's a lot of different solutions that can solve for our mental health problems. And then sometimes there's not, right? So I think I'm in that delicate balance of trying to figure out, is this a systemic issue, an environment issue, or is this something that I really need to back up and support with, medication or something, right? So I just always want to take care of my body, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I think you're already on it when you start with like therapy or couple therapy or whatnot. Like you're doing yourself, you're doing the environment around you, you're taking care of your work, and then like at that point, like, hey, if this is still not working or like I can't produce, then what is the next step?
Yeah. More on this next week. I think we got into a lot of subjects today that like need like 9
Yes.
episodes.
Yep, yep. And actually, I think we're on time anyway, so that's a good time to wrap it up. Um, and we'll talk again next week.
All right. See you next week.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, please consider leaving a comment and a review. It helps us improve and reach more people.
We're all just trying to figure it out one conversation at a time. So go easy on yourself. Trust the process. And remember, it's okay, Habibi.